Okay, so I've got these automated tests running, and one thing I've noticed is I've the tests really never clean up themselves. So here on the app, this one is Project Status Pro. They've accumulated a lot of projects in here, and they never get deleted. So what I want to do is just build a quick test to clean up the apps. Hit the minus button, hit the delete button, hit the minus button, hit the delete button. Repeat that over and over again until there's no minus button, and then hit the done button. And so that's how the test is going to work. So let's build that test. So of course we go into Eclipse. Also need to build some kind of tool to swipe up to clear alerts. That'd be another thing to build. Just try to build out a collection of different tools that I can use in my domain-specific language, but also make reusable components. I'll probably, anything that's reusable, I'll put in app. This one will be an org because it's going to be delete projects will be specific to this application. Really, it's the same problem whether you're on, if you're on the enhancement screen, if you're in here, you would also hit the edit button, hit the delete button, minus button, delete button, minus button, delete button. And actually the edit button didn't change into a done button here. So that's technically a defect. And I'd want to fix that. I just discovered that. Okay, so let's call that test cleanup. I'm going to call it test cleanup. So creative. So first you click on the project here, and then you do File, New. Actually, it's better not to be creative. Just think of really things that make a lot of sense. I'm going to create a new class. And I don't see Java class here. It should be there. So what you do is you click on Other. It should be there. It'll be there next time. Then you click Java, open that, click on Class, click on Next. And then it'll appear next time. It'll be on the menu automatically. So the name of this, I said it's going to be Test Cleanup. And it's not really going to extend anything. I like to generate comments. Click Finish. Alright, so we've got started. First thing we're going to need is a tag statement at the top. And I'm going to call this, now I like to use all small letters for my tags. So that's cleanup. And then we'll just highlight over that, have that autocomplete. Then we're going to need some of the basic methods. It's at before each, at after each, at before all, and at after all. And then we'll need a test method. But don't want to bore you with all that boilerplate code, so I'll just copy and paste them. So I'll need a logger too, so I'll grab that. So there's the at before all, at after all, at before each, after each. And then we'll just grab a test. I'm probably not going to do a parameterized test, I'll just do a test. But I'll rename some of that. So we'll drop that into our test cleanup. And then paste it here. Then I'll just have to hit enter and close that method. That method would want to be renamed. It's not test smoke, it's test cleanup. And then we'll change the comment. Actually, it's the display name, which displays in the reports. I could make this a parameterized test, but for now I'm just going to make it a test. So that's really handy for later. Just comment that out. I hit the command button and then the slash button. That automatically comments out a whole selection of rows. And I'm just going to put in an at test here. And I'll have to autocomplete that. Not that one, the second one. All right. This is a snap anyway, cleanup. Ironically called cleanup. And that's on exit. And I'll call it exit cleanup. I like what I implemented there on my, well, I did that off video, but I just took the capabilities name, and actually if I don't do a parameterized test, then I probably have to do a parameterized test to have the clean capabilities, otherwise I'll have to refactor the whole thing. So what I'll do is, instead of doing a test, I'll just put in a parameterized test, and then I'll just have like one project in there for now, and coming out the ones in the middle here. Actually, which one I want to do? Project status pro. So that's the last one here. So I'll just hit the carriage return, and then I'll put in a blank line up here. And I can just comment out the lines in between. And again, the command for that is to hold down the command button and hit the slash. Okay, as I discussed, now when I create a test, this is the cleanup, I like to outline the steps that I'm going to execute in the test. So this is the parameterized test. This is the test cleanups. This is the method. So as I discuss, what I'm going to do is I will click on Edit button. Then I will check if dash exists, and then click on dash, and then click on delete, and then repeat. That's basically it. Oh, and then after when no more dash, click on done. And by the time this runs, there should be no projects left on this main screen. And that main screen again is up back here. Okay, so let's, first step, click on edit. Then we'll have, okay, so we need to get the dash. So we could do a do while because they kind of work well. Okay, so while we got to declare a web element. I might just redeclare it, that way we always kind of initialize it every time. Probably not the best choice, but call it a web element dash equal app dot find, and then we'll just put a dash in parentheses. Then, so now we have an app. So if dash exists, so if dash not equal to null, then we'll click on the dash. And we already have the dash So we could probably just do a dash dot click. And a click is synonymous with a touch, and the name touch is more synonymous with mobile, but it's based on Selenium, which is a web-based automated testing tool. So click is the term for touch. So we'd click the dash. Now, only and if only the dash existed, then we would click on the delete button. So we'll stay inside the if block. So then it would say if, well, we got to get the delete button. So we'll do a web element delete equals app.find, and that would be, so we touch the edit button, we touch the delete button, and then that's spelled D-E-L-E-T-E. Just want to make sure the capitalization's right. So now, if delete is not equal to null, then we will click on the delete. And okay, so now we create a little problem because we need to test the dash in the while loop. So in order to do that, it has to exist outside the while loop. So this declaration can't be inside of here. So let's just pull that out. Make sure it's null. And we'll do this while dash not equal null. And hopefully this won't just keep deleting the same element over and over again and cause a race condition. But, you know, that's a risk. We'll find out. And then we'll look over the logic and see if it makes sense. So we got to click on delete. And there's the repeat. I like to move the comments up, put them right above where it's kind of doing stuff. And every while loop has to have a semicolon at the end. And then when there's no more dash, then we'll just click on done. So that would be just app.click, and we'll pass in a using of done. And that's kind of presuming that done exists, but done may not exist, so it could be an edit button. So if it exists, you know, actually I could probably put that into a reusable component too. I'm probably going to pull out different pieces of this and make it reusable, but it's easier just to get it all debugged in one place, and then we'll refactor after it's all working. Refactoring is the process of converting working code into other working code that's written a little better. It's not rewriting. That's totally different. So, click on done if it exists. So how do we test if it exists? If app.exists done, then we click on it. Else, well, not even else, because I really want to test to see if the edit button exists and then click on it. If it doesn't exist, then I'm not going to click on it. And I just can't assume that if this condition is true, then the other condition will be true. So I won't even do an else. Normally I would. Or actually, I'll do an else if, and that'll make sure this never gets executed if the done button did exist, because after you click on the done button, the edit button would exist, and then it would just, oh, it would be a nightmare, just go in a loop. Okay, no good. We'll make sure we have an else. All right, so that's pretty much the test. And what that should do is just go through and delete all these. Yeah. So I discovered through Appium Desktop that the delete button is not called dash. It's actually called delete reskin, like the name of the project, so it's delete reskin. So you have to tap on delete reskin. So I wanted to get all the elements that had started with the word delete and pull those in. So I modified the rather simple test to make it much more complicated, to first of all get a list of dashes and then do a find element with an XPath that starts with the ID of delete space, the space being before the name of the project. I can't presume that it has a space, so I'm going to delete that. And then that gave me a number of unknown at this point. So what I'm going to do is write out a message and say number of dash buttons found, because it didn't work and I want to know why. And if this isn't going to work, I'm going to do something different. And that should give me the number of dash buttons found. Then what I did, took my somewhat simple test and I put an iterator in there. So first I did a false. So if that's false, then I do an iterator of with element I, and then get the dashes iterator, and then do a while iterator has next, then get one single dash, I equal to I dot next, click on that dash, then search for the find element of delete. Now delete, as soon as you touch this, this button pops up and it's called delete. So then tap find element delete. If delete's not equal to null, click on the delete and then repeat inside this while loop. If that doesn't work, which I suspect it's not going to, but I'm going to give another run, and I'll do that while I'm explaining this, not to waste time. It did run one time, and it finished successfully, but it didn't do what it was supposed to do. So we'll sit there and watch that and see if it works this time. If it doesn't work, which I suspect it won't, then I'm just going to delete that one. Oh, let's close it out. I'll leave it. It'll refresh anyway. What I'll do is I'll do a search for delete reskin, and then loop through all those, then do delete enhancements, and then loop through all those, and then do delete uplift, and then loop through all those, and then do delete search optimization. You got the idea. There is only 12 different projects. I'll loop through them and delete all the projects of that one particular type in a loop. But let's see if this works first. So the edit button click works. Now I need to see the log. Okay, so it wrote out, okay, number of dash buttons found, 0. So that's why it doesn't do anything, because it doesn't find any dash buttons. and then it finishes immediately. Okay, so that not working. So what we're going to do, this not working. So instead, I'm going to get a find elements again, dashes equal driver.getDriver, and then I'm going to do a find elements by accessibility ID, and that's going to return a list, and the name of the first one is going to be, well, let's go with reskin. There seems to be a bunch of those on the screen. Reskin, delete reskin, and that should return a list of buttons. We'll just try it with that first. If this works, then we're going to do a little refactoring and turn this into a reusable component and pass in the name of the project and then delete all of that one type project and then call it from inside the method. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just make sure it works for the reskins, and then we can go continue from there. So let's get found 4. That's hopeful. Okay, so we got 4 of them. That includes the one on the screen, 2, 3 on the screen. There must be another one off the screen. Let's see if I can click on the delete button. It did. Now we have 3 reskins. Nice. Let's see if I can go to the next one. Oh, the next one is the 3rd one. Okay. That's going to be a bit of a problem. But now that we know the behavior, maybe we can iterate backwards. Bottom. Oh, found 35. Okay, that's different. Not at all what I expected. So for the second one, it'll probably go to the 3rd one, which is probably off the screen. See if I can scroll down automatically. No, I can't. I like the idea of the iteration backwards. So I'm just gonna do it totally different. Let's do it as a for loop. See if that works any better. Don't know if that'll be sufficient. It's worth a try. Put that end a little bit too high. Okay, that should loop until dashes is empty. I'm holding down the control key, clicking on refactor, and then I'm going to extract a local variable. I'm going to rename that from using to delete button name. I'm going to move that up a little bit. And then I am going to extract this. So that'll be our test. Now, these three methods that I just refactored out, they're going to be app specific. I may be able to make some more generalized, but at this point they're app specific, so change them to public static and I'll move them to the org method, domain specific language for this application. Just keep building out the domain specific language as much as possible. Always adding more and more stuff. And then you build up a bunch of methods. And after some time, you start reusing them more and more. And it just makes your automated tests that much easier to maintain. I mean, it's tough to keep up with the developer team with all the updates to the tests all the time because you have to write 10 times as much code as the developers themselves. So you got to be smart about it. Got to make your code easy to maintain, quick, very reusable. This can just be changed to a local logger. The refactor tool always passes in an instance to the prior. Oh, maybe I don't have a logger in org. Oh, I do. Okay. You can use the elevator red marks to jump around to the compiler errors. Just fix up the missing declarations of. Just sometimes Eclipse just needs you to save the file to resolve a compiler error. So when in doubt, if it looks like the code's right, just hit the save all, and see if the compiler error goes away. Now, we've got no red markings on this project at this time, so I think we're ready to do a run. And as I mentioned, I'm just going to wait for this automated test to finish, and then I'll run that. Did I add comment to this? No, I didn't. This is called JavaDoc. You just do a /** just above the method name and hit enter. It auto populates the text, and then you give it a reasonably good description. And then after you do that, the advantage that it gives you is when you're looking at the test, you can hover over it in Eclipse. Like, you just move the cursor over top of it, and the JavaDoc will pop up, and it nicely documents your available methods. And this is the JavaDoc for that one I just added. It just shows you the structure, the required parameters. You can add more description to it. You could comment each of the parameters, what exactly you're expecting there, and list out the different exceptions that will need to be handled. You can handle them manually, or you could just wait for Eclipse to auto-resolve them for you. So now that this is declared like this, I could delete more than just the reskin. We could do now the Command D deletes a line, and then Command C copies, and Command V pastes. So you could make, let's pick a few different projects here. We could do enhancements. Try looping on that. Now we can't delete elements that are greater than a certain number. So we should start at the top and count down. But I don't want to, if it's coming back with 56, I don't want to go any more than 4. So what we could do is do a little ternary operator in here. Number of dashes greater than 4. Then question mark 4. Otherwise, do number of dashes. Now, I know that looks a little confusing, but what that is a ternary operator, and it's basically saying if the number of dashes is greater than 4, then use 4. Otherwise, use number of dashes. So if it's like 1, 2, 3, or 0, it uses that number. If it's greater than 4, like 56, just use 4. That way, we'll count down from 4, and we'll do 4, 3, 2, 1. But if it's, and even 4 might be off the screen, but we'll give it a go, see how it goes. Appium's very iterative. Okay, let's give that another run. First we'll have to stop Jenkins. That can run all night, but not right now.